Okay, so we have our sprint started and we are now onto our board. As I said, we have 3 columns: to do, in progress, and done. Another thing that people like to do is create another column, and it's quite easy to do in this version of Jira. You just go in here and you can write in review, which is quite popular. So people like to just put a review column in because you have your items that are to do, not started yet. You might move them into in progress when they are to be, or when they have been started. And then if they've been completed to the acceptance criteria and another developer is going to check to make sure that that actually has met the criteria, then that the developer who's done the task might want to move it into review and then tell another developer to check it for them. And then when the other developer's checked it and said, okay, I've signed it off, I think that has definitely passed its acceptance criteria, then you can move it into done, and it's a done task. Remember, the developers hold each other accountable as a self-managed team. They're all aiming to get this sprint goal done, so they should be making sure that everybody's pulling their own weight, helping each other, making sure that nobody, or if somebody is struggling, that they're going to help out with them, and they're all working as a team to a common goal. So that's what they're doing. And in the the daily scrums, it's their chance to get together, see how everybody's progressing through the sprint towards that sprint goal, and plan the next 24 hours worth of work. So in the daily scrum, remember, it's 15 minutes only. It does help if you ask everybody to stand up. That does have a subconscious effect that makes people want to get through the daily scrum a bit more efficiently. So, but whatever technique you use, it should be 15 minutes. That's also why people call it a stand-up, by the way, if you've ever wondered why, because it is quite popular to stand up through it. Of course, it's held at the same time every day in the same place to reduce complexity so everybody knows where they need to be. So let's say that this is not yet in review, but Amy has picked up the create the App Store icon, and that's what she's working on at the moment. So that's in progress. Also, Quinn is investigating how to program the radio tuner. In fact, it would make more sense if he started on the investigate how to turn the phone into an FM AM receiver, because one of the outputs of this sprint is to actually do that as the one of the tasks. So he's going to look at that as a priority. Josh is looking at the channel store, and Becky is having a look at how to make the play and stop button work. So those are all in progress. Again, if you want to just filter, so say if Becky just wants to see what she's working on, she can just click on that. If you want to see what Amy's working on, just click there. You can filter by epic. So just having a look at the non-functional, which we don't have at the moment, functional tasks and the design tasks. If we want to have a look at the label, we only did a couple of labels for the design, or at least that's what's applied in this sprint. And we can filter by story and task. There is loads more different filters that you can use in Jira that may be a bit out of scope for this course, but you can actually use something called Jira Query. I had to look that up for a second. So basically, here we are. It actually has its own query language, and you can actually store the query scripts that you make in order to make very complicated filters. That's out of scope of this course, but I'm just letting you know that that actually does exist and can be really handy if you have a very, very busy board and you want to be able to filter on more than what Jira gives you as a default. Something I've used in the past and found it handy, so I'm just letting you know that that is possible.